Hey everybody, Brian with Lean by Doing. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to host it solo, but I'm going to talk about some of the areas that I'm struggling with my Lean implementation. Oftentimes, we talk about all the Instagram Lean. You see the highlight reels of how things are going for other people, and you see all those wins, those small wins. Sometimes you don't feel like you're winning. Sometimes you feel like you're losing. And for me, I have 5 areas that I have made notes on of areas that I'm struggling with. And I would love to hear you guys' comments on how I can improve them or suggestions or whatever it may be. But let's just talk real talk for once. So normally I come into this show a little more prepared than I am today, but basically what I have here is a notebook. And in this notebook, I've been keeping track of some of the areas that I've been deficient or my team has been deficient or my business has been deficient in lately. And I figured this would be a good thing to just sit down and talk about because it's not always curated and perfect. Sometimes it's messy and sometimes it sucks and sometimes you're just in the shit. And I really just want to kind of lay these out for you guys. Maybe there's things that you guys are struggling with and maybe you're like, I can't talk about this out loud because it's embarrassing or whatever it may be. So let me break that firewall down for you guys and let's just get right into it. So the biggest distraction I have right now is my new building project. And I mentioned it several times on a show. We're actually building a new facility. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be awesome. It's like 56,000 square feet. It's about 15 minutes from here, not too far away. However, we're kind of getting some steam now where they need me on the job site a couple times a day, and I have to make decisions. So I feel like I'm really split between 2 businesses right now. I'm split between what's going on here with our Lean implementation and our development of our team and everything that needs to be done here, and then these calls that I keep getting, hey, can you come to the build site? We need you to make a decision on something. It's super frustrating because I feel like I'm half-assing both, right? It's like the classic Parks and Recs quote from Ron, don't half-ass 2 things, whole-ass 1 thing. I kind of feel like I don't have the ability to whole-ass 1 thing right now. So I'm split between these 2 positions and I don't love it. Now, one thing that's super frustrating for me is the builders are not lean. Big surprise, right? We live everywhere in this world where things aren't happening lean. But let me tell you, when you go from this like incubated room of lean, which is my business, right? We're all trying to become lean thinkers, and you go somewhere and there's no lean thinking involved. It's so frustrating. I can't tell you how many times I've had the same discussion with the same people over and over and over again because they're not really listening. And so then you get called into this and like, hey, we need you to make a decision on this. And I've made that decision 3 times, like 4 times. Like, can we just move forward now? Or you'll show up and they'll be putting siding up and they'll have their workstation. They'll be working here and all of their work is over there and their saw's over there. And it's just like this like waste of time, energy, motion. I can tell you on a few occasions, I've actually set them up with a work cell to kind of show them, hey, you can do this smarter. But I think the thing that's really hard about it is like, these are like important decisions that I don't want to take them lightly. However, they do create a lot of firefighting. And in Lean, you want to get away from firefighting. And I feel like as soon as I walk out of this building, I immediately put on this fire helmet and grab a hose and go to the new build site. And all I'm doing is just putting out fires through that whole place. Oh, I'm ready for it to be done. I'm a really easy customer. So for me, it's like, hey, what is the easiest way for you to do this? Because let's do that. And a lot of the people that have worked there have started to realize that I'm pretty easy to deal with and they can get questions answered over the phone. And other times they're like, no, I still need you to come. And then I show up and it's a no value, right? For example, we were doing siding on the top of our new building. It's like a wood grain, right? I just want it to look like a wood floor. I want it to alternate. And they're like, nope, you got to come talk to us about it. So I get there and I was like, hey, I just want it to be sporadic colors. Just mix and match. And they're like, oh, that's easy. I was like, that's what I told you on the phone. But still, I had to show up, drive 15 minutes there for a 2-minute conversation, to drive 15 minutes back here. And all that time in the car, I wasted not being able to work and move my business forward, but also not really using my time to the full potential of what I want to use it for. So that's my first area of struggle right now. And it's going to continue to be that way for a while. I'm guessing the next 4 or 5 months, I'm going to be caught in this, and I don't really see a way out. I think I just kind of have to see my way through it, which is a little bit frustrating and aggravating and all those things. So the number 2 thing that I'm really struggling with right now is missing KPIs. Inside of our business right now, every day we seem to be missing our KPIs. And because we're missing these KPIs, we are missing our monthly goals, we're missing our weekly goals. And there doesn't seem to be a lot of urgency to kind of rectify it, if you will. And I know in lean, you don't want to work with your hair on fire, but sometimes I feel like there needs to be a little bit of urgency if you're missing your goals, right? If you're missing your daily goals every day, stop and say, why are we missing them? And how can we not, right? And that is a big struggle right now. It stems from a lot of things. When you do the 5 whys, our biggest issue is flow. And as we're operating through the business, we're trying to figure out our flow. We make almost 1,000 SKUs, and all the products vary in different types and makes and times and everything else. So our tack time isn't just set per cell, right? We're not building one product and everything is set. Everything varies for every department. And it sounds like a big excuse, but it's a problem. And we all have it and we all encounter it. But what we have to do is think about, like, how do we manage the flow? And right now we have like 1 or 2 people who are kind of managing the flow manually to try to keep it going because other people haven't quite seen it yet. But as soon as you see the flow, you can walk through the building and you can immediately see where it stopped, why it stopped, and fix it. But when you only have a few people with their eyes on it, it gets gummed up. It comes down to like a lack of rhythm, and we're really kind of struggling to have that rhythm. Even like the little slightest of like herky jerky creates a giant ripple by the time it gets to the end of the line, which is our packaging area. And it's just people are siloing what they're looking at and not necessarily seeing the big picture. I had this discussion yesterday. I have an employee who is working on planning, and it's Bryce. I had him on my show a while ago. Anyways. So Bryce, my planner, he is keeping 2 people busy in one area, and he's managing his work based on keeping them busy. And by keeping them busy, he keeps the press break busy. But the things that he's not seeing is once it gets to the front of the building, we have powder coating and packaging. And because of him trying to manage them up at front, they're having all kinds of downtime. But he doesn't see it because, it's a ways from his office. So it's like trying to explain to him, like, hey, you can't just worry about keeping them busy because we can move them around. They can help in other areas. But you're trying to keep them busy, and you think you're keeping them busy, but really you're passing that downtime upstream to other areas. And so the downtime's there. It's built into the system. We just need to be able to be flexible and move people around. So sometimes we're like manually interfering with the rhythm of the shop, what needs to be cut, what needs to be built, how it needs to be built. And because of that, we're missing monthly goals, we're missing daily goals, and things just aren't working. The other thing I feel like we're really struggling with is lack of improvements. Yeah, that one's hard to say out loud because, we're a culture of continuous improvement. We should be making improvements every single day, but that's not the fact. When you're missing goals and you're missing KPIs, you should be looking at what kind of improvements can we make to get to our goals again. Or if you are hitting your KPIs, what can we do to continue to weed out the waste? And in many areas, I feel like people are just living with the waste and not thinking about those small incremental changes that can add up to reduce the burden. The next one is absences. We've had a lot of absences in the last several weeks, actually probably even the last several months. In Michigan, it's spring. It becomes like, cold and flu season kind of version 2, and you have people missing. You have issues coming up at home for people, and then they have to step out for a few hours. It's just been a cascading problem. And because of the fact that we're so lean, we don't really have enough bodies to backfill positions every single day. So obviously, if you can't backfill a position, you're going to end up missing your KPIs. If you're counting so many points through an area and you take a body out of it, you're going to reduce the points. You're not going to be able to hit the goal. It's just the way it is. But it stinks because one day missing somebody, not backfilling, creates a giant problem down the line. As we get closer and closer to the end of the month, now we got to push harder because we really need to reach those KPIs. So number 3, this one I take a little personal. I really don't know what to do with it, but that one is the development of my staff. And it's easy to say, Brian, why don't you just get on the shop floor and influence all these people? But when you have almost 40 people, there's only so much I can do in a day, right? And now let's go back to number 1. I'm in and out of this building all day long. So that cuts into that time as well. And it's not realistic for me as the leader of the company to be able to influence 40 people all the time at the level they need. Now I can touch on areas and I can, hop in, hop out in some spots, but I can never do that like real level of mentoring or coaching that's needed because I'm doing that to the next level down. So my second tier, if you will, I'm trying to feed that second tier, but that second tier isn't really feeding that third tier, if that makes sense. And I need them to like step up and, say like, hey, I see this employee on the outer fringes of our culture who's struggling every single day. They're starting to do things traditionally. They're doing batching, whatever it may be. They're not pulling Kanban cards accurately, whatever it is. They're not keeping that rope tight. So it's like I'm keeping the rope tight between me and my second tier. And it's real tight right now. You ask them, it's real tight. They'll tell you. But that rope that goes from their hand down to that third level, it's not as tight. They're slack in it. And because they're slack in it, the development is not happening at the rate that I would like to see it, or at the rate that we need it in order for the company to like progress forward. So we're kind of in this weird, like stagnant time in our culture development. When I was in Ireland, I saw lean done for years, like 4 years, 5 years. Many of the companies around me that are doing lean, they're new to it. So it's not something that they have the culture built either, right? And so when you look at them, you say, yeah, our culture is really good. We're a really mature culture. But when you go and compare it to places in Ireland, you realize, man, we have a ways to go. And what I realize is that you can't rush it. No matter how fast I want to implement lean and change my business, there's this timeline with people development that you just can't get past. Everyone's not going to develop in a year. Everybody's going to take time. Some people might take 3 years to develop to the level that you expect them to get to. But it's just something you have to be really patient with, and I'm really struggling with that. The other one is like the recession to the mean. And what I've noticed is that there are some employees who have kind of disengaged from the rah-rah of, oh my gosh, this is the funnest thing I've ever done, lean, to start to kind of get like, summer's coming. I want to do stuff outside of work. I don't want to listen to a podcast on the way to work. All these things are happening. And because of that, you're starting to see a recession on those employees back to the mean. And when I say back to the mean, I mean like traditional business things. You'll start to see people who used to think lean start doing batching again. You'll start to see people that are thinking lean start to be more about them and less about the process. You'll start to see when you correct them and say, hey, this isn't working, they feel attacked because now they're back to, you're attacking me when we're just trying to attack the process. And because of that recession, man, it is wild. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen. And everything always wants to deteriorate, right? It doesn't matter what it is in the world. It could be a building. It can be a car. It could be anything. It's even us. We're deteriorating every single day as we get older, right? But it's wild to see it in like real life. We've made all this progress. We're stepping forward. We're going up the staircase. We're successful. We got this. And then you look back and you're like, why are you back there again? Like I thought we learned that. I thought we went there. But what it is it's continuous improvement. It's every single day. It's relentless. And the minute that you take your foot off the gas, it stops. The car comes to a rolling stop. And a lot of my employees have kind of gone into that rolling stop. And even some of my lean all-stars, they're not progressing. And I don't really know what to do with it. I'm struggling with it. I keep trying to pull the rope tighter. I've talked to people, I've had kind of candid conversations. We're just in a kind of an interesting season of development. And I don't know that I love it. But what do you do, right? What do you do? And then the other point with this one is some of my key people are still not getting it. And that's hard to say because they're my key people. But when they're still not in a development mindset, and I'm so far ahead, at this point, I'm becoming a martyr. And it's frustrating because, they're some of your best employees when you turn your business over. And now they're, falling off. They're not living up to the expectations that I have. They're not living up to the expectations the business has developed. The systems that we built around them, they're still like fighting them. And that sucks. And that's frustrating. And I don't know what to do with that every day because sometimes I'm not the right person to develop somebody. Sometimes I'm not the right person to reach somebody. And I need other people to say, hey, you know what? I'm closer to this person. I can help them. Let me do it. And we had that early on in the early stages of our lean transformation, but it has become stagnant now. So we don't have as many people saying, hey, I can get that person. I'll pull that person. Instead, they're just doing their work, doing their thing, doing their lean growth, which is totally acceptable. But we still have employees that are out there. And I have some really, really important people in this business that still aren't buying in. And I'm not sure what to do with that one. I'm really struggling with that. It's hard. It's a hard one. So number 4 on my list of problems right now is expectations versus reality. And, we all see where we want to be, and we're like, that's where I want to go, right? We see some place that's exceptional and we say, I want to replicate that. But it takes time to get there. And that reality of we're not there, we still have a lot of work to do to get there, or maybe we'll never get there. And some of that is frustrating. And I personally have very high expectations of what I want to see for my business and what I want to see from my team. And to not be making the progress that I deem appropriate is frustrating for me personally. And I know that I need to relax and just let time and patience and just kind of, work it every single day. But sometimes I want like a big win. I want a big successful win. And I think we all do. I think we all want to see this like big, like that's the reason why I'm doing this. Damn it, we finally got this big win. And sometimes you're just getting really small wins and it leaves you hungry for more. And sometimes you kind of wonder, like, are we hungry enough? Do we want it bad enough? Do we see what we want, right? Does the rest of the team understand the mission? Does the rest of the team see the vision? Does the rest of the team even care to understand what the mission is? At the end of the day, they all have personal lives. They have their own things going on. Maybe the last thing that they want to think about is what this business looks like in 5 years. And maybe that's just the reality with some employees, or maybe that's the reality with a lot of employees, what's in it for them type of mentality. And that's frustrating. I just went on that trip and I saw exceptional businesses and I know I can be there, but it's just going to take time. And I want it now. It's like the girl from Willy Wonka, right? I want an Oompa Loompa and I want it now, Daddy. I want lean excellence and I want it right now. I don't want to wait. I want people to come here and be blown away. And the crazy part is that people are, but my expectations are so high. They're so high that it makes it hard sometimes to see the real results and be like, I'm okay with this. And I'll have slivers of this, throughout the day where I'll be like, okay, we're doing good. I'm proud of where we are, or that was a success. But I would say the 3/4 of my time, I am frustrated with what I'm seeing. And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that feel the same. And you just look around and you see a mess and you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I had time. I would just 3S that. I would just 3S that. And while we practice stop and fix, I could literally stop and fix my entire day. And I still have other goals and things that I need to reach for the business that are bigger than just the stop and fix every little minute thing. So yeah, that expectation versus reality is really hard. And for me, in my mind, I know where we're going, right? We're building this new facility. It's freaking awesome. It has tons of lean thinking built into it right from the start. So we're going to erase a bunch of problems, right? Clean slate. No one gets this opportunity. All of us are doing lean implementation, and many of you out there, you still have to paint the walls that you didn't paint for 5 years, and you have to clean the ceiling that you didn't clean ever, and you have to change out your lights because you're using crappy lights, and now you need better lights, and it's all this maintenance that you're doing. I don't have to do any of it. I literally get to go right into a new building. I can leave all the junk behind. I can throw it in a dumpster before I go of all the stuff that we still haven't 3S'd. But many people don't have that. And so for me, it's like a cheat code, right? It's like the game genie in your Nintendo. I plug it in, I enter my code, boom, I got this cheat code. But maybe the rest of my team isn't seeing that. And maybe they won't see it until we move. But part of me wonders if they're not going to appreciate it because it is a giant upgrade, giant upgrade. It's like, I can't even explain to you the level of upgrade that we are making when we move. I don't know. I know that we will be there, and it may take 4 months, 5 months, 6 months to get into that facility. But when we get there, it'll be worth it. but it is so frustrating right now. So my last one is that everyone is busy. And that's a weird one, right? Because when you go through the building, everyone is working on stuff. It's good, right? We're busy. But it's been a while since I've had this feeling that everybody is kind of like on the ragged edge or too busy, has too many things going on. They can't stop to take a lunch. They can't stop to go with me to the new building. There's just too much work happening. And because of that, it makes it very hard to train, coach, and mentor because you're now trying to like carve that time out. And this goes back to that development of staff where you see people that are saying, I can't stop right now because I'm too busy. So therefore, I'm not going to talk to my mentee today. And if that's happening or when that's happening, it's a struggle because it stalls that development. And maybe this might be that root cause for some of that lack of development in staff is that they're too burdened by the work or they're not seeing the value in stopping to take care of those things and making it a priority. The other one is like there's a lot of burden. There's a lot of burden in everybody's tasks. Like customer service has burden, packaging has burden, fabrication burden, machining burden. Everyone has burden, and it's so hard to remove it all, right? You can only remove so much, especially when 4 or 5 people are the primary action takers to remove that burden. You know, when people aren't looking at their own waste and looking for ways to improve their process, and then we're kind of doing lean to them as we say, hey, look at this option. Try to do this. Here's a new tool. Here's a new cart. Here's a new rack. Whatever it may be, you know, we're kind of doing lean to them. They're not necessarily, in some ways, they're not able to do that stuff. How do they build a rack? How do they, you know, unless you're giving them some of the resources, you can't really expect them to go forward. But because of, 20 years of not doing lean, we have a lot to make up. We have a lot of waste to remove. And we have a lot of progress to be made internally in our process, in our flow, in our development, everywhere. And because of that burden, that's waste. And that waste is in some ways interfering with life and interfering with progress in the building. The other one is like a transition in leadership. And when I say like transition in leadership, I mean like we took like a leadership team in like classic department roles. So, we would have like a warehouse manager, and now that warehouse manager is a value stream manager. And so it's like transitioning them and teaching them what a value stream manager looks like. What is it that they're defining? What is their objective? All these things are all a transition that we're making, and it's not fast. You want people to have this really fast uptake and immediately understand, oh, I got it. I know what a value stream manager does. But instead, we're like learning as we go what a value stream manager does, what they should be looking at. And because of that learning on the fly, we're making mistakes and we're missing things. And then we're like, oh, crap, I didn't know I needed to watch that. Oh, I didn't know that was going to be a problem. Yet here we are with this major problem. And I don't really know how to do anything about that other than just kind of complain about it and say, I wish it was better. But that transition is a thing. It's a real thing. And we have a lot of leadership transitions going at one time. We have 4 or 5 people in transition right now into new roles, and they're essentially like learning on the fly with me. And we've never had a value stream manager, and we've never had value stream teams, and we've never had a flow engineer. We've never had an improvement manager. Like these are all new roles that people are trying to fill, and they're learning how to do it as they go. And because of that, everyone's busy. And for me, like I try to coach and I try to mentor every single day, but if everybody's busy, it's hard for me to pull somebody away. And yesterday is a good example. I said to Joel up front, I said, hey, Joel, are you busy right now? And he was like, yes. And because he was busy, I didn't have an opportunity to take Joel and do some coaching, mentoring with him because he was buried in the work. So I think that it's just the season that we're in, and maybe some of the pressures that we're under, the expectations are high. It's a lot of things, but those are like my 5 areas that I feel like I'm really struggling with. Now, I'm sure that you guys could go and make a list just like this, listing out, whatever the 5 things that you're struggling with. I would love to hear from you guys. Like, was there something in here that you're struggling with? Is there something in here that you've gone through and made progress on? Is there any advice that you may have for me? I'm all ears right now, and I don't want to say like I'm a broken leader in any way, but like I'm worn out. You know, I'm tired. I'm I'm sleeping long hours, and I wake up tired, and I wake up with headaches, and you know I sleep restless because all I can do is think about improvements and waste and how to fix things and blah blah blah. But are there areas that you're struggling with? Let me know what they are. I would love to offer you guys some advice or help you. But also, if there's anything on my list here that is near and dear to your heart or something that you've gone through, please just reach out to me. I'm just looking for a little help and maybe a little encouragement. But yeah, it's just kind of real, guys. Is that this is how it looks. This is what happens. This is when you're breaking eggs and making omelets. You know, they don't always come out perfect. You know, or when you're making pancakes, the first pancake always sucks, right? And maybe we're still on that first pancake and that second pancake is going to be awesome. But for now, this is where we're at. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today, and I hope that you guys will tune in the future as well. Also, make sure you drop down into the description, and in the description, there's a link to a lean toolkit. We're continuing to add things to that as well, so make sure that you take advantage of grabbing that. And if you've done it before, make sure you go back to the website to check it regularly to see the things that we're adding to that as well. And if there's anything that you guys want to see in the future from me, I'm all yours. Just let me know. I would love to help in any way I can. So I will catch you guys on the next episode.